alone in the car. This is me alone in the car. April 28th, 2018. SHAZZBARBARIC is driving on Highway 17 from San Jose en route to Santa Cruz to meet with Rory Bartle. For what? We can only speculate. Dum dum dum. How to drive while high. How to drive while high. Do not overreact. In fact, underreact. Drive a little bit below the speed limit. Pace yourself. Find a slow car. Don't worry. This is an easy game. It is a 3rd grade comprehension level. There are lights on either side of you. There are large signs that give you plenty of reaction time before any action is necessary. Keep doing what you're doing. You're probably doing a good job. I'm proud of you. It takes effort to drive while stoned, but it can be done safely with the proper training. This is your instructor, SHAZZBARBARIC, with another fun and safe stone driving tip. Do not talk into your phone recording a podcast while driving. It might distract you, especially when other cars are merging into you. Do not slam on your brakes. It may piss other people off, like this guy right here. Everything is good. What am I saying? Let me describe to you what I'm saying. This is SHAZZBARBARIC on the ones and twos, driving down Highway 17. Just went under a bridge, cleared it. Didn't scrape the top of the car. So that's always something to be thankful for. We're coming around this bend, leaning in on the right here. And we lean over the seat. You got to help the car. If you want to save on the gas mileage, you got to lean into those turns. Momentum's a real thing, especially you big girls. You know what I'm talking about. You just got to shift your weight. You know, you feel it when you're turning in the deep of a bend, and you just kind of shift. You shift the car along. You just got to push it along. It's like being on a swing, really, if you've ever been on a swing, and you just kind of like inch it forward. It's just, you let it work for you is what you do. You let it work for you, girl. This is SHAZZBARBARIC with another safe and fun driving tip. What else? I am driving too slow, apparently, because I'm being passed. Driving the right side of Highway 17. Highway 17 is a killer highway between San Jose and Santa Cruz. I say killer because multiple people die here every year. The has steep, twisty roads up and down a mountain path, and some of them are banked the wrong way, which means that if you're going around to the left, the part of the road banks to the right suddenly because the road has eroded underneath, carrying away the soil and making it drop down a little bit. So that's what I'm driving on while we do this podcast. Is it a podcast? Will it be released as a podcast? Or a single? Or maybe just a part of a documentary? A part of wreckage found on the side of Highway 17. A car wrapped around a telephone pole. Looks like the phone was recording at the time. It's still recording right now, apparently. Perhaps I'll be a part of a podcast. Well, I would get so tired when I would drive. I would. Stare at the taillights of the car in front of me. You know what driving is? There's so much slack between like an old lady driver and like a young aggressive driver that like you should be able to fit in somewhere. So I just, when I'm stoned or when I've had a beer or two, You just drive like an old lady. You have to be honest with yourself. That's why you have to know about your sobriety. Me with a joint, it still beats an old lady 9 times out of 10. That's a pretty good slogan, too. That might be the presidential slogan, actually. Beat an old lady 9 times out of 10. Oh, shit, that'd be good. And then I put, like, Hillary's picture up there. Beat an old lady. Shit, fuck. Alright, that brings me back to my point. Alright, killing witches. I'm fucking gonna be a witch killer. SHAZZBARBARIC, the legend continues. The witch killer. Alright, so I gotta kill the witch. That'll be fun. Get my own house in order. Did that. Then I'm gonna kill a witch. I don't know what the fuck we're doing. Alright. Fuck, this road is windy. This road is so fucking windy. This is like just switchbacks. I'm just plodding along. I don't want to lose my fucking lead car, because he's kind of keeping me motivated. He's making all the decisions for me. If you could just, if you ever want to be lazy, find someone to make all the decisions for you, just for a little bit. Just remember that you made that decision. And remember to opt out every now and then, just to make sure you vibe with all your beliefs. Because what you do is who you are. And so if you're doing a bunch of bullshit for people, you may be becoming, you may be becoming, you might start to be a bullshit person. There's a better way to say that. But if you do a lot of bullshit, you might become bullshit. So make sure to do what you want to do every now and then. And not just for a little bit. I think you need at least 6 months. 6 months to a year is where I'm at right now. All right, I wasn't sure if I was going to do a podcast. And now I'm thinking I actually have some stuff to talk about. This will actually be a start of something. But, yeah. So how long are we going to go? Right now, it is 7:23. So we'll go for, like, the drive. That'll be 45 minutes. 45-minute beginning podcast. You can start to get some structure. We can think about what we're going to talk about. That was the intro to the podcast. SHAZZBARBARIC, and I am running for president of the United States of America. Those are eagles. Those are eagle sounds. Eagle sounds. That'd be a good t-shirt. So on this podcast, I'll think about merch ideas like eagle sounds, those words on a t-shirt. What else? We're going to lay out the plan. So I'll have an hour a day of strategizing, which is great as we get into the Bobby Fischer book. As we get into the second book of the reading program, we can, we can start talking about strategy every day. It'll be fun. The age of deceit. So I should explain that. All right, so where did this all start? What the hell happened? I was born to parents. Yeah, that's a pretty good start. This fucking road is so demanding. I can't think and drive. I'm going to have to drive a little bit, and then I'll come back to you, podcast. We'll start there. I was born to parents. We're just going through like the largest corkscrew right now. That's why it's okay to multitask, but know what is priority. That might be a haiku. Although we will do something non-mentally challenging while I concentrate on the roads. Whoa, this is the biggest switchback. Whoa, this is the biggest. This has to be one of the worst roads in the fucking world. You know what it is? Also, I had a relaxed riding posture. And I'm remembering how to drive. And part of driving is acknowledging your body and what it needs at any given time, like posturing. All right. This road demands an aggressive riding posture. So you just push yourself a little bit forward. You're leaning over. It's like I'm flying on the road. I'm more engaged. My head is leaning forward on a stick, and there's someone pulled over on the side of the road. And that's why you drive slow. See, I wasn't trying to fucking go as fast as I can around here, and there are just two cars right there pulled over on the side of the road. That song blasted any thoughts out of my head that I had. That's good. If you ever want to stop thinking, just start fucking singing a song. I'll just blast your head. Fucking A. Let me sing a song that no. What is it? When she called, I thought that maybe it was time. And when I saw her, it was after I'd bought wine. And when I'd fallen, it was And when she called, I thought that she had changed her mind. And when I saw her, I thought maybe it was time. And when I'd fallen, it was after we had wine under an April moon. Was gone too soon. What was I supposed to do? And I would carry round your smile like a superstitious child, not sure how to make a wish. He didn't dare to say out loud, oh, held you in my arms long after you've gone. Never learned to make the room to hold another in my heart. And when I saw you, I thought you had changed your mind. When I called you, I thought maybe it was time. And when I'd fallen, it was after we had wine under an April moon. It rose too soon. What was I supposed to do? I counted once. You had left me for another. I counted twice. And then it was my very own brother. I counted thrice. But at least that time you told my mother. But now it's gone too soon. The August moon. What was I supposed to do? This is going to be a very interesting podcast. But I'm sorry, this road, if you haven't driven here in a while, it's kind of like a fucking badass way to get into Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz fucking people are so badass because they live in dangerous areas. You have to fucking survive the mountain pass to get into their fucking town. It's just windy as fuck. I just smoked this fucking joint. But we're chilling. Also, another thing is you gotta remember when you're stoned, like, look at the fucking speedometer. It's there for a reason. It says 45. I'm going 40. 5 under. It's like, I guess maybe being stoned messes with your emotions. It doesn't mess with your motor skills. So if you just could chill your emotions, that's what it is. So I wanted to smoke, and I knew I'd get an insight about smoking. Smoking is an emotional thing, completely in your head. And so if you can put your emotions to the side, you have full control of your motor functions. I mean, maybe there's different strains that are stronger emotionally and stronger motor-wise, but if you're on like kind of, and that's why when you're a stoner, you're like just autopilot, just like, yeah, that's one way to put your emotions on pause. But like, I do it just by fucking like, how do I do it? Your will. If your will is strong enough, your emotions are small in comparison. So you still feel emotions, but you allow your will to go up and down. And so when you allow your will to go down, then your emotions get stronger. If I want to be in some sadness or some joy, it's like that's easily proven when you have sex. If you want to experience pleasure, you have to lower your will, which means that you have to like please her, think about her. Think about it, and then it gives you more pleasure. Why? Because she's orgasming? It's like, am I speaking in a metaphor? Is it literal? It just makes sense. But, yeah, you lower your will to increase your emotion. You increase your emotion, lower your will. So, that explains emotional manipulation of society. People are kept at a heightened state of emotion, which lowers their will. So that makes them more easily manipulatable. We have to quantify this thing called will. That seems to be a good placeholder for something. We say emotions all the time, so that's socially acceptable. So will needs to be the contrast, socially acceptable. They say ego and blah blah blah. What the fuck is that? They're just creating shit out of thin air too. This isn't like biology. You're not finding these things in physical manifestations. Your stomach might control as much emotions as your head. Oh, what if your head's rational and your stomach is the emotion? Whoa, that'd be cool. But I think it's the fucking, it's the reptilian brain. It's the prefrontal cortex is the will, and then the emotion is just coming from that first part. The emotion evolved first, and emotion is just it's what emotion evolved into will, but we have them both. And I think that the Neanderthals and other humanoids were more emotional creatures. We're the most rational. Or maybe not. Maybe we're the best mix. This fucking road just keeps fucking twisting. I'm like, if we keep twisting, we're just going in a corkscrew. Why build a road that's a corkscrew? Like, there's no shorter path here? I think they're just trying to use up road now. They're just fucking wasting it. They're just like, yeah. They're just sending us in circles. I don't know. There's something. There has to have been a shorter, straighter path through this fucking mountain. I don't know. This hilarious road. This is a fucking SHAZZBARBARIC challenge. Don't take me up on this. Smoke a joint and drive over Highway 17. That's a fucking tangerine. What was it? It was good. It tastes like tangerines. It's supposed to be a sativa. Supposed to be a sativa. When I was in Arcata, the strongest weed I bought was off this dude who was just walking down the street. He had a guitar. I had a guitar. I was like, dude, let's go smoke some weed and play some music. And he said, well, I got the herb. I was like, cool, show me where an ATM is. I got some money. But I had money in one account. I wanted to put in another account because the IRS was coming after one account, blah, blah, blah. I needed to Chase ATM. We couldn't find a Chase ATM. Half an hour into this adventure, I'm like, fuck it. So I just go online, Chase app, and just put the money, transfer it, take the hit for the fucking overdraft that's going to come, which came today. The IRS took the money today, so. And then fucking, anyways. So back to that story. Fucking, so homeboy, I get the $20 out, and then gonna hang out with someone. I'm like, can I bring someone? I send a picture of him. I don't know if it's because of the picture or what, but they said no. And then I gave him 20 and he gave me 3 joints, and that was the strongest herb I smoked in Arcata, and he said it was strong. Then I smoked a couple other stuff, like 3 others, and that was the strongest stuff. I don't know. So I say that because this joint ain't nothing compared to that. This joint cool. But that stuff was like, it was just long lasting, you know? Maybe it wasn't even that strong. It was just like 8 hours later, I was like, man, dude, I haven't even smoked again. Like, you didn't even think about smoking because you're still high. You're like, oh, it's been a while since I smoked. I'm still kind of high, though, still. It's cool. It was chill. And it was chill. It wasn't like munchies or anything. It was just like, you're in your own head. So yeah, but okay, so my hypothesis was that it is emotional. Weed increases, enhances the emotional intelligence, or it inhibits the rational intelligence, or a mixture of both. You know, we already know like alcohol depresses your rational intelligence, makes you more susceptible to stuff. It's interesting. But then what does weed do? Because weed contradicts the emotional manipulation of society. From the top down, we're being emotionally manipulated, and I always felt that weed offered clarity. Weed allows you to question things because it gives you a second perspective. So how does that tie into the idea that we're being emotionally manipulated, and also weed strengthens emotions? Oh, so if we're being manipulated by our emotions, weed strengthens your own emotions over that manipulation. So how that shows you how we're being manipulated by our own emotions, that we're just being kept emotionally weak? But emotions are funny things, because it's like strong emotions are bad, but they're also to be enjoyed. They're good. Strong emotions are just potential. They're power. Emotions are power. Emotions are concentrated energy. I felt, and that's why art is emotional, because it's concentrated wisdom. Emotions are just potential. So we have, because it's action without thought, and thought slows down action. So action without thought is more efficient, which is why if you play music by emotion or without thinking, it sounds better. It sounds more natural. This is all interesting, important stuff. We're being manipulated through our emotions, but are we being kept weak, or are they maybe spiking our emotions? Which, yeah, because it's not like we're not being emotionally like dulled, we're being emotionally overstimulated. And so, but then I also know that affects the will, and that's making it so we don't. I'm out of the switchback, so I can actually think about this now. I just don't want to be irresponsible. So yeah, let that be a lesson to you. Fucking concentrate on the task at hand. And practice, you know. This is my first fucking time driving stone, you know. Make sure you don't drive within your capabilities. Whatever you do, do it within your capabilities, and then you won't be a burden on society. And that's how our laws should reflect that. You know, because what if I have achieved great capability in my life? It's like, are you going to tell a fucking NASCAR driver not to speed? Fucking pretty much do whatever the fuck you feel is safe if you have that type of professionalism. But like, and then what happens if he gets in an accident? Well, maybe the penalties increase if you take on more responsibilities that come with increased capabilities. So if you're like fucking speeding and something happens, you're going to be way more at fault than if you were going slow and something happens. So there's just, and then you just find that equilibrium. That's market pricing. Fucking risk. Yeah, we should. I mean, maybe that's good that I have an insurance background. All right, so now I can actually think. What time is it? How much time do I have on this guy? 23 minutes. All right. First podcast of my candidacy for presidency. My name is SHAZZBARBARIC. I'm running for president of the United States of America. This is the first podcast. It's going to go for another 15 minutes or so. We have to lay out the plan that we're going to have. And then we have to, just iterate that daily, especially now, age of deceit. So what does that mean? And then I started and I said, I was born of parents. So I was born of parents and raised in Southern California, Inland Empire, a lot of different towns, but I finally settled in 5th grade. 5th grade, we stayed somewhere in 5th grade all the way through high school. So those are like the same group of friends, which means a lot when you're developing. And then I went into the military, made some friends there, got out of the military early because I was like I signed up for 5 years. I got out in 2 with a discharge other than honorable, which means that it's the second down. You can have honorable, other than honorable. You could have a general or honorable, other than honorable, and then dishonorable, and then there might be something else. So other than honorable means that like I failed to train, like I was in training and I failed my training, and so couldn't do my job. And then after that I fucking hung out in LA, went to Santa Cruz, met a girl who would like follow me later on in life, who's actually living with me now, but we haven't done anything ever, which is kind of like a plot line, I guess. And so fucking lived in Santa Cruz, where I'm driving right now, but a lot of stuff happened after that. And then what did I do? I went to New York, and then I got a girlfriend there, and I moved back to California, back to Santa Cruz with that girlfriend. And then what did I do? And then we toured California. I got a book idea, so I've always wanted to write. So in between there, right after the military, I went to college. I was like, all right, let me make good. Why did I go in the military? Because I was a little patriotic. Our family comes from a family. My grandpa was a soldier. It's one of the main reasons, really, when I think back on it. And so I've always been looking for like malehood, masculinity, father figure. And my dad wasn't really a hands-on type dad. He was a great dad in a lot of respects. And there's other things that I'm trying to learn from, so that way I don't carry on those same mistakes. So what I've learned in life is that you pattern behavior of your parents, or whatever you see, really. If you watch a lot of TV, you'll pattern that behavior. And that's just how we're programmed. We're mimetic, and we have mirror neurons and all that bullshit. Science man will pick it up where I leave it. But let me regroup. Okay. So yeah, I was always searching for like my bigger brother too. I have a brother and a younger sister, older brother, younger sister, and I was always searching for someone, I guess, a family, because my family fought a lot. So I guess I wanted like kind of like the perfect family. Like I just liked that feeling of family, but I didn't like the fighting. So I did feel always like a big group of friends, felt comfortable. And then also I was calm because my parents fought a lot, and then I would mitigate the fights and keep the peace. And my sister would side with my dad usually, and my brother would side with my mom. And so I was like in the middle, and they'd be like, if we divorce, who did you go with? And I at a young age, I guess, realized there's no stupid questions, that like everything like reveals something. And I started checking everyone out, and I told them neither. And I just was like, I was kind of like judgmental, but like I guess in that good way of just like I kind of like knew the score. Like, you guys are acting a little crazy. Once my mom tried to attack me, to spank me or something, whatever. You know, they're spanking parents. They did the normal spanking shit. I like locked myself in a room until she calmed down. It was like, I knew it was a little dangerous. Like, I knew that she was worried that I was alone in the room and I could cause harm to myself. And I knew that was bad because I didn't want to cause her to worry. But I also knew that she was not in her right mind. And so I was going to wait until she was calm before I opened up the door. And I just remember that because that is the earliest memory I could think of me like thinking I'm better than someone, and not better than someone in an arrogant way, but like my judgment is more important than theirs right now, in a like I'm gonna go with that for whatever reason, intuitive or whatever. So, and doing that at an early age with your parents, and your parents fight and stuff, and you just learn how to keep a level head. And so I've always had a pretty level head. Why does that matter? Because I guess what was I talking about? I guess that's why you talk about your past until you go off on a rant or something. I was talking about fucking, that matters because I was talking about my dad. Oh yeah, so I was looking for manhood. Oh yeah, because, so like, I guess that's why I was looking for the pieces that I needed. And so I grew up and I knew that my judgment was better than those around me in some instances, in an increasing number of instances. As I grew up and I got better, to the point that I think now my judgment is the best. I don't have any authority except my own, and I only trust my judgment. You earn that, I think. You know what? I don't know. I'm still looking for teachers, and also I just read this Buddhist book. Like, there's always stuff you can learn. I'm not saying you can't learn anything. I make all decisions for myself. I don't subscribe to any authority. And so that's just like, you're like, okay, I'll deal with my own safety, and I'll deal with my own, like, making money, and I'll deal with my own morality and my own heaven and hell. And, like, I'm just searching for truth, and I'm just trying to live truth. And I guess another way to put that is that I try to live truth for the most part. I guess I have to be rational. I'm not going to completely put my life in danger and do something completely idiotic, but I've been practicing truth, and truth is a practice. How about that? Because who knows how many, if I'm going to be honest, that's not a good way to phrase anything, but truth, I said that about 50% of what I say sounds keepable. When I was editing, I felt like I would edit down to 50%, and that was a good rule of thumb. So maybe I'm only 50% honest, but whatever the percentages or whatever, however good I come out in the end, I'm practicing truth. And as I practice truth, it is interesting what I'm discovering. And I feel that I'm accelerating my comprehension. Your brain assimilates data, turns it into comprehension and knowledge and wisdom and everything else. But it comes in as raw data. And I feel like the way I'm living right now, especially these recordings, of course, but like also practicing truth, just trying to really get to the heart of things. I think I'm just assimilating data, knowledge faster. I'm becoming smarter faster. You become smart with time. That's why the devil, what do they say? The devil wins not for being the devil, but because he's old or something like that. Like, time gives you information, but it's because time is observing over time. It's data. So we could both be observing the same data, but what if I'm getting more out of it? So, and why am I getting more out of my life than the next person? Because I think you only get like, my ballpark would be like 10% of the information you can out of the data you get. No, maybe way less if you think about, like, we have infinite data we're surrounded by, so there's an infinite amount of information. But all I'm doing is looping back once. All I'm doing isn't even the intention of looping back, just recording yourself and then going back and listening to yourself. You compress, you get more out of. But then, no, you also need these guidebooks of behavior that you're either creating all your life, or you have to like go and learn from them. Like, where does pain come from? Suffering, the emotional language, emotional logic. Like, we have 2 + 2 is 4 in rational logic and scientific method. Because what is rational logic really? What is the heart of the rational mind? What principles lie at the heart of the rational mind? Openness. I don't know, that would be an interesting discussion. Because you have like, well, the scientific method is that you should, I didn't realize how busy fucking Santa Cruz is. This is cool. I just kind of like talked and drove my way into downtown. I forgot how fucking popular the city is. Alright, what the fuck are we doing? I'm gonna park and then we'll continue this discussion if I could remember it. Yeah, there's all the fucking hippies. This is like the fucking Shangri-La. I got some yoga pants on right now. Fit right in. Don't dance in a dive bar and don't sulk in a dance bar, my dudes. You gotta know how to fit in to get in. Alright. I just love being able to fucking autopilot that. I just kind of was talking and just like ended up downtown Santa Cruz by accident. Alright, so you know, me talking into this thing is pretty much going to be like what it's like to hang out with me. So that's pretty cool, you guys. You don't know how lucky you are. This is like, if you wanted to hang out with SHAZZBARBARIC, you're doing it right now. That's pretty cool. It's not many people are going to get to hang out with SHAZZBARBARIC. I mean, compared to how many want to, right? Let's see. So, what were we talking about? Emotions, emotional logic. Oh, it's nice and toasty in here too. I feel spoiled, man. This is better than a fucking sound studio. We were talking about fucking emotions are one way of thinking, and so is the rational brain. And then we were on the rational brain, and I said, like, what are the values of the rational brain? And I was gonna go with like the scientific method, but then I thought, like, what if you like actually extend those out, like the values of like was it repeatability is the scientific method. You have to be able to show your results. You have a hypothesis. It has to be repeatable. You have to be able to test it. And and it creates data, but like the data is interpreting. You can interpret data in different ways too. There's these values. So what does that mean? That means that you can interpret data in different ways. That means that there's never absolute truth. And that's also backed up by another scientific principle, which is you can always discover more. There's always something else that you can discover. You don't know what you don't know. Nature is infinite. Most scientific questions, if you ask them, they have at the very end an infinite answer. There's infinite time before the universe began. It extends to infinite. But anyways, there is a boundary to science, and it's called infinite. And that is the box they put that in. But it does come in a box because it's just an idea. And all ideas are flawed. So that's interesting. So the values of science are like, let me get back to that. See, that's what weed does right there, is that you are speaking and then you just, but what was that? So I said it increased emotion. So when I was speaking, I was thinking of something, and that was emotion right there. Oh, so I was thinking, and then the emotion overtook the thinking, and then the thinking's now trying to jump back on it. And so I use weed to strengthen my rational brain, because since my emotions are heightened, then my rational brain has to work harder to put them in perspective. And that's how we started this discussion. We were on the highway, and I was saying how it was interesting because I was concentrating on the highway, and I was like, I really need to concentrate on the highway, which means that I'm aware of my high, but I need to kind of put it in the background. And I was trying to articulate that, and that's what I was doing. That's what any stone person who's smoked a lot and also worked a lot and had to function while high, you just put it in the background. You do what you have to do, and you might miss something because you are a little distracted, but you concentrate that much harder. You ever have kids? Being stoned is like having a couple toddlers. That's all. They're there. You can still do what you have to do, but you always have to be paying attention to the toddlers, because all you have to do is ignore them for a little bit, and they fucking freak out. And that's your emotional side of your brain. So you just gotta and when you're not so rational, that's what's fun about being stoned, is you play with your kid. And that's why being stoned makes you a child. And then you play with children, and you just appreciate them. I'll get high and babysit in fucking Vieques. That was amazing. It was my fucking second childhood. And I had friends. I would get high, and then the kids would become my friend, and now you just kind of hang, but you just could kind of hang out there, and I guess your ideas, your thoughts come out, but those are emotional thoughts. There's an emotional way of thinking and stuff, but emotions is a way to, and then I could think, well, can I reconcile emotions with subconscious? Because then no, your emotions come out in your conscious life, but maybe the emotions are the conscious manifestation of your subconscious. But then are you going to call your subconscious just emotions then? It's but what else is there? So emotional thinking. There's thinking with and without emotion. That's interesting. And then, of course, there's acting with and without emotion, but there's actually thinking with and without emotion. What is dispassionate thinking? How can you think without emotion? Guess that's a meditation. You concentrate. Well, what it is that's where the meditation and the idea of stimulation being consciousness right, stimuli. So if you want to slow down your thinking, you have to concentrate on a specific stimulus. So you slow down all your stimulus, and then you pick your breath, because your breath is a constant. You can't not breathe, right? So your breath is where you meet your emotion. That's really interesting. You come back to your breath, so you don't even have to stay there that long, but you come back to it, because that is where you can recognize yourself, your conscious rational thought. Your rational thought and your emotion meet in your breath. So if you just take a breath, and let it out, but if you let it out with intention, you actually release emotion. It's interesting. Emotions like carbon dioxide, you can let it out. What if you could breathe in emotion too? And this might just be a metaphor, might not even be literal science, but like you're around people and like every breath, what if like emotion rides on, well, I guess it does, because what is emotion? Oh, you know what it is? Because you're oxygenating your lungs. That's fucking stupid simple. So if consciousness is actually stimuli, then when you breathe, you're stimulating every single fucking lung sac. Every single fucking, and so emotion is like, if emotion is stimuli, so the more you're stimulated, the more you're emotional, then a deep breath is just a lot more stimuli. And so if you shouldn't, but then they say you shouldn't act in emotion, but a deep breath is a large action. Like that would be like, if you're emotional, then slow your breathing. Normal, but they say like, because I know that makes me feel more calm. Like a deep breath calms me. And I like that. I like to keep my head in about the place you get after about 50 deep breaths. So do 50 really deep breaths. That's where I like to live at. I'm chill usually. And then I get pushed out of that. That's a really interesting segue. And so I was there, and I was living my life in New York, in Greenwich Village, you know. And I got pushed out of that because there were 2 terrorist attacks in November. Someone drove into a van down a street, hitting pedestrians, and then another guy tried to explode a bomb in one of those underground path tunnels outside of Penn Station or something. I was like, fuck. I was ignoring politics for a while, having been in real estate for 5 years, thinking that I would enter politics maybe in my 50s or something. I had my arguments lined up, you know, in my case, but I was just concentrating on making money, and I thought my folks need money, and I had that view. And that just sped everything up. I thought, all right, no, you know, we might actually and Trump being elected and a bunch of other stuff. It seems like maybe the world can't wait. But for reals, you know. So I was like, all right, maybe I should start looking at this. I started looking at the newspaper. No, what I did is I've been sitting on my life's work, my book projects about, what I've come to realize is just a synthesized, like a total political belief system. Just basically to answer the question, what the fuck's going on? So I've always kept notes on that, what the fuck's going on? Feeling like I've gotten somewhere. And I've applied that knowledge, and I've earned some money off of it, just through the wisdom, because it's the only way I've been able to prove wisdom in my life, is if you can, if at least happiness and success in your life. Because that's the definition of wisdom. So whatever you call it, if you're just saying it and you're not using it, then it might be wisdom, it might not, but you're not proving it is. So this is proven wisdom. And I've been sitting on it, and it could become like a guide to getting rich, making money like I did, or getting girls like I did, or fucking whatever. So I was concentrating on living a good life, so that way my wisdom would have value. So I can say I used my wisdom. I guess that's what it was. I was in the process of proving my wisdom, using what I believed, and making money, getting chicks, having fun, kicking ass, taking names. I didn't have a great record. Here's my record. I made 40 my first year, then 90, then 135, then 170, and last year I got close to 200,000. So this year I was sitting down and I was looking at, I was probably going to break $1 million. I have my own real estate company in New York. I have 15,000 contacts that I've never marketed to. I'm going to go after sales and create a sales pipeline and probably sell a couple. And yeah, I saw myself easily breaking $1 million. On paper, my business, if it was making 200,000, was worth over $1 million. So I felt like a millionaire. I had my apartment I loved at 13 Carmine, number 13. King's Quarters. And it was a nice life. I was starting to lord over it. I was starting to be like, I'm on the, you're climbing the hill, and it's just like, it's not like you're at the top, but it's broken. You can see the peak. So I was like, this next year I'm going to come into my own. I knew some things I wanted to do in New York, some fun I wanted to have. But I wasn't happy, though. Some stuff the terrorist attacks happened, so that's a contrast to my happiness. And then I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to have to cut this short. So it was like, whatever, the fruit, I'm just going to cut the fruit of my wisdom. I've proven enough. So that's what I started to do. I started to review my military paperwork, which led to me reviewing all of my notes on my computer, which led to me realizing that that's a fucking year to review all my notes. So I only was able to review a fat fraction. Which led me to, all right, maybe I need to write an autobiography, which will monetize that year, which I can review my notes. So I did that. The autobiography took about a week, and it reads like it took a week. It's not really, it needs to be just improved, but it's a good concept, but I got the structure down. So it's a great outline of my life. And so I got my structure into 6 parts, which is funny because by the end of the autobiography, I actually discovered the beginning, and I started to learn about how my mind works. I wrote the end of the autobiography. I had gone a month and a half not paying my bills. I just had started to realize clarity of what I was doing, that this was about me writing my life story, and that my whole life had to be put on pause. But I hadn't worked for a month and a half, so I'd ran out of money. I was always afraid of not paying my bills, and I had started to let my bills go. So I was actually only now can realize how fearful I was of not paying my bills. For 5 years, I got as many credit cards as I could, and I paid everything. And I had standing debt of about $10,000 a month. Every month that I would have to hit. And I would make more than that because I took my parents on a nice $10,000 vacation. I had a car, payments on. So I had about $15,000 in credit cards. I had a car that was worth about $15,000. And then I have the IRS, which is at like 45 plus this year will probably be close to 100 now. So I had real debts, but cash was coming in. And I'm a real estate agent. With rentals, you get $2,000 to $3,000 per deal, and I had my pipeline, and the tools that I used to create that pipeline, which again goes back to that wisdom. I was proving my wisdom, because the universal wisdom is good for emotional intelligence. It's also good for business intelligence, not just interpersonal, but business as in, if you think metaphorically, you can apply emotional, logicisms or whatever you call it, but little clever emotional sayings, syllogisms or whatever. Clever emotional sayings also make clever business sayings sometimes. But anyways, you can make connections. So that's what I was doing. I was doing that with my life. And then those attacks happened, and I was like, all right, I need to hurry up and finish this shit. And so I stopped. And when I stopped, I started freaking out. And when I started freaking out, I just let everything go, and I stopped eating, and I was getting skinny because I didn't have much money. And then I started selling my stuff because I was buying myself time. That's what it is. I don't have to make it sound so dramatic. Every time I would think I'm at the end of a part, it'd be like, oh, now it's time to now it's time to review all my military notes. And once I did all that, I was like, fuck, I should probably at least scan them all into the computer. And once I did that, I was like, I should at least organize all this fucking stuff on my computer. And I was like, once I did that, I was like, well, I'll organize it by my life. And I was like, well, I might as well write an autobiography then. So that way I organize it by my life, but that way I also compact it. So I've reviewed it. And I started then. Then I realized how much stuff you have. You're like, oh shit, this would take over a year. And then and money and time and better equipment. And then I'm like, all right, well, maybe I should write a short one, sell that to make the money for the long one. And that's why I think that's how I led to all right, the money's coming. And I kept feeling like that. But then by the end of it, I was like, I don't think this would sell to get the money. Maybe it will, but maybe it needs a little bit more. And then I'd go to do something else. And so what was the next thing was so in the middle of all this, I sold my TV. I sold some other stuff. Just give me enough cash to keep going. And also I was lowering my ego, because at first, when I first started, I didn't realize this was that long of a process. So I was still eating out. And then I stopped eating out. And then I kept it to just coffees at my local places, but no breakfast. But then I stopped buying the coffees, and I started getting ground coffee, which actually led me to appreciate the local ground coffee place. And then, hold up, this cute girl just showed up right next to me. I think Santa Cruz is fucking awesome. How would I approach? I'm not going to, because she's getting in her car. Fuck. You know what? I need more time to be cool. I can roll down my window. And she's on the phone too. See, I try not to approach girls who aren't looking. If you see a girl, she's looking like she's kind of wandering, then I'll maybe say what's up. But like if she got in the car and then she waited and smoked or something, or she gave me eye contact, I'm glancing over. But also, if you glance over too much, now you're a creep. See, I've given enough chance. So you give the chance for kismet to happen, but if it doesn't happen, it's okay. There's so many fucking apples. Orchards are filled. But yeah, no, just cute girl. And then also, you'll never get anything going on if you never notice that. Cute girls in your proximity, pay attention in case fucking it seems like she might want you to talk to her. They'll usually give you a sign. That's a secret. Guys who approach girls might look funny, but if you're like, speak that language and you get the signs. And how do you learn the signs? By failing. So like right there, I didn't get any signs at all. So I kind of like stopped looking at her and she just took off. But like I glanced over a little bit. So if I got like, sometimes if you glance at someone and they're lingered, even for a split second, that's a sign. But that might fade. You might have to capitalize on it. Like, hey, what's up? Do I know you? Did I meet you somewhere? Or something. I don't know. And also, but yeah, fucking, and then if you're like trying to fucking jump at every single opportunity, that's kind of weird too. Like, I'm in the middle of a podcast, you know, but she was cute. You didn't see her. You guys don't know how cute she was. She's cute enough for me to talk about it. She's cute enough for me to talk about it. I'm drinking a coffee while I do this. It's probably good. Wait, I'm across from the Wells Fargo on, what is this? Front Street in downtown Santa Cruz, and I'm probably going to go to a bar after this and like grab a beer or something, or I don't know. I need Wi-Fi to check in with my friend. I came to Santa Cruz to meet up with a military buddy of mine who I used to hang out with him. I lived with him and his friend's father died while I was living with them, and that was an interesting bonding experience. And those guys, you know how we all dealt with it and how we it felt like, you know, a really good group of friends. And so I haven't seen, he has a daughter now, and I'd like to see him and say hi to him and maybe see his family. It's a little late though, so that's why we're going to cut this short in a little bit. We're going to do like 10 more minutes. Yeah, it's 52 minutes. So, I guess so. Weed increases your your emotions. So let's look at that. I just got like on a tangent about a chick because I was horny. I know this Tangy. I thought it was a horny weed, but like not horny. It's just like your emotions. So it's like your emotions. If you're anxious, it'll make you anxious. So it's like weed doesn't make you anxious. It amplifies anxiety, which is why it's so shitty that it's legal, because you're anxious because half the time because it's fucking you're doing something illegal. Well, I've realized, and that's what the best donors are like. Yeah, just so you don't even start being anxious. Anyone could be anxious. I've seen some fucking heavy ass potheads who fucking get anxious. But you just don't start it, so that way you don't feed into it. So whatever, like, that's why you can be cool. Fucking, it's not that smoking weed makes you cool. It's that you just gotta be a little bit cool. But on weed, you fucking feel really cool. Like if you're just a little bit cool on weed, you fucking. That's what some girl told me in Vieques. She was like, you guys have it so good because you guys aren't even as cool as fucking these chicks think you are. They come to the island, they're like, these island guys. And she's like, you guys are a bunch of dorks, but these chicks think you're fucking the coolest ever. But yeah, the island gives you swag. Weed gives you swag then, is what it is. There's weed swag, right? So that's why this podcast is going to be cool, because it's going to have mad weed swag. Or maybe mad anxiety. Let's fucking find some anxiety. Let's put me in a position where I'm anxious. You know, don't pray for the easy life. Pray for the strength to endure a hard one. Right, Kana? So I was in New York at a counter, gray dog, staring into the street. This is Carmine. I live on Carmine. I walk a block south to go to Gray Dog, and I order the same thing every time. I go there, say, breakfast quesadilla. Sometimes I put the bacon in, sometimes I put bacon and ham in, and a coffee. Talk to the girls at the counter. Everyone there is really nice. A couple cuties with booties. Then I go and I sit down and I stare out into the street and I think, and I thought, you know what, all right, I just gotta start now. And that's when I did it. I was reading the newspaper and I was like, saw that shit and I was like, it was taking too much of my mental bandwidth. I was like, all right, this is like, I feel the anxiety in the room too much. We're gonna chill this out. And if we don't chill it out, then I'm at least gonna chill myself out trying. So, you know, when I'm in a situation, usually I like to just chill. When it gets to a certain point, I'm like, all right, someone has to take care of this shit. And then it gets to the point where I just try to take care of it. And so far, that's been a good way to live life. Or I just learn to deal with it. You know, I learned that that's out of my ability to take care of, I guess, right? So I'm going to throw some effort at this. At the very least, it would make some good book projects. So I was like, I'm going to... But it didn't start that way, did it? No, it just started as a review. It didn't start that way. I felt anxiety in the air, but it was a bunch of other stuff. The clients I was taking out, I was starting to walk away from. I wasn't having good vibes with clients, and I know that if I'm not feeling it, then the business is going to close, because what I'm realizing now, it's an emotional sale, but back then I didn't have that language, I didn't have that explanation, but I knew it was like intuitively, like, it's not just that I find them apartments, I knew it was an emotional thing or something. I knew that if my head wasn't into it, my heart was. I could be really stoned and I'm fine too, even if I run my mouth. But it's like you have to be good at your job, and I was good at my job. But it wasn't just that. The people have to like you, because if they don't like you, then you'll be good at your job, but then they'll just double check your work with someone else, and then they'll do the emotional sale with someone else, which may or may not be in their interest. So when clients leave you and then act against their own interest, I've had that. It's because you didn't get the emotional sale. So. That's just part of the words of wisdom you too can get by pre-ordering SHAZZBARBARIC's autobiography, coming out sometime. So I was like, not really feeling it, but it was a combination of stuff. Started reviewing my life, realized I had to make an autobiography, created the autobiography. By the end of the autobiography, I created this video, which is at the end of that, if you go on the website. Where I'm in the shower talking, and then I tried to edit it, and somehow I made both voices on each other by accident, and I listened to the whole thing a couple times to try to listen to myself, and then I listened to myself getting the idea of running for president in the shower, because I had started to record myself. Intuitively, I knew this goes back a while in my own dialogue with myself, which I'll gather if I go over all my notes. But it had been coming to the point where it's like you have to start recording yourself, you have to start listening to yourself, you have to start, because it was a whole notes, like the notes were talking to me saying, look, at this notes needs to be processed. We have to start processing data at a faster rate than we create it. If not, we will never get to a point. And I've been letting you go, brain is what I was saying, for my whole life, creating data, and I've been taking notes, and I've made some projects, not many. And I've collected a lot, but now it's like, now we have to start processing faster than we create. So don't stop creating. Because I'm a kind master to my brain. I'm a gentle. I think how you treat your brain is how you treat a child, and I spoil my child in a way, because I think he's gifted, and I let him indulge in certain ways, and I've also corrected him in other ways. Going to the military was one of the corrections. I just felt like I wanted to try it and challenge myself. I've challenged myself in different ways, and I filtered out. That's its own story. That would take a while to try to explain why I made each decision in my life, but there was a reason. Ever since I said that memory of closing that door on my mom, I realized from a young age that I was consciously interacting with the environment around me. That might be a better way to put what I said. There'll be many ways to say these things. It's just good to fix them, put them out there, and then I can listen. This is mostly for me, this is totally for me. It's first for me, and then the idea is you could just monetize that if you're close enough to the source of wisdom that you guys can actually benefit from as well. But this is mostly my own quest. I'm getting as close as I can to the source. Wisdom, what it means to be human and to live that life. And in order to do that, I have to challenge every single authority that has a claim over me. And you can start listing them. What are they? They're family. And so I changed my name. And they're the government, I put the social on my arm. They're poverty, and I went and made wealth. They're women, and I've proven myself in that field. I have to have a family, I have to have a normal life too, because I want to experience that. But like, I also just had that desire to kind of like try to be more human than you. So I'm sorry, but you could do it too if you wanted to. I'm trying to show you how. So I lived a lot of different ways, and the last challenge was to make money, and I did that. And the terrorist attacks reminded me that that was over now. That my calling is elsewhere. The world has gotten heated. So now I'm like, all right, let me package some of this wisdom and dole it out as some ice packs for a hot world. And so I'm creating the SHAZZBARBARIC Ice Factory to cool down an overheated world. So we'll leave it there. And another merch idea. Stay cool, motherfucker, stay cool. Stay cool, motherfucker, stay cool. Cool, motherfucker, cause you know the rules. Stay cool, motherfucker, stay cool. Stay cool, motherfucker, cause you know the rules. Cool, motherfucker, stay cool. So we are about to meet Rory, and I'm recording this preemptively. Looking for Woodrow. Okay, so this is preemptive recording. I've been thinking some good thoughts lately. I should probably, while I look for Rory's house, I should probably discuss my thoughts. What are my thoughts? I have a lot of thoughts. As far as Santa Cruz goes, yes, I have a lot of thoughts. Alright, I think I passed it, so I'm going to have to turn around. We're already at the surf museum. This is far past where we have to go. Let me think. What are my thoughts? What are my thoughts about Rory? What are my thoughts about Santa Cruz? I never really... You say your life, but then when you visit your life, when you visit the past locations of the events and the people, it's different. It's not exactly how you said it is it? It's different. And I know that just coming into Santa Cruz, listening to that podcast, I spoke really great and big. And then I came in here and it was just like interesting. It was not expected. Alright, Woodrow. I'm looking for Woodrow. So I'm going to turn around and look for Woodrow. I'm on West Cliff Drive right now. And I'm looking for Woodrow. I just stopped in a couple bars. I went to the fancy bar that always kind of intimidated me. They have a fireplace. It's like places in New York where I like. It's like you like certain things, but over here was like, one of your first experiences with like something like a little bit high end, like fancy. And I went there and it's like a velvet room, and sure enough, there's a bunch of chicks there, like just like packed shoulder to shoulder. And they let me in. The guy said at the door, the bouncer, he was like, usually I don't let hats in, but since your bill's sort of short, I guess you'll go in. I don't know. I just had like a fuck it attitude, and he basically said, yeah, you're breaking the dress code, but if they tell you to come downstairs, then you'll have to come downstairs and check with me, okay? It's like, I know I'm on the right path when dudes just respect me. Like the bouncer. Like when I was young, the bouncers would not want to let me into places. And now the bouncer is bending backwards to break dress code for me. I didn't even ask him. I don't know that. I was like, is this a fancy place? But they're fucking... And they got like, metal detectors. He checked all my pockets and he checked my hat, and because I'm wearing a billed hat, and then I sat there, tried to get a drink, and I was like, fuck this, and I texted my friend, and then from someone else's phone, I borrowed someone's phone, and then I left and I walked downtown and I was just reflecting on what Santa Cruz means to me when I was here. And I never went in any of these shops because I was poor. I was broke. I just didn't understand my relationship to money yet. and you grow up, that's something you only understand if you grow up in poverty. And it actually takes you a while to develop a relationship with money and consuming. Because your default is you don't consume. There are people in this world that consume, and we are not the consumers. We work and we get by. That's the philosophy of poverty, is you work and you get by. We don't consume. I mean, and every now and then we go to Disneyland, or we do like a big consumption. I remember when I was living here, but I was working in Salinas, and the family goes and takes a $5,000 signature loan to go down to Disneyland. And I sold them that loan. HFC, Household Financial Services, or financial whatever. They fucking would do signature loans based on who knows what. I guess their credit was good, but they had no assets, and it was like $5,000 at like 20% rate or something crazy. But yeah, it was, no, that was a consumption. I recognize it, like poor family taking the big vacation that they really probably shouldn't take. But you gotta remember that you're alive. What is this we're looking for? Woodrow. Oh fuck, I think I missed it. Alright, it's okay. We're going to regroup. Good. I'll pull the phone open again. But yeah, so I was just thinking those thoughts walking down the streets of Santa Cruz. It's like when I was in Santa Cruz, I was like 5 years removed from my folks. So I was very much still my folks. And it takes you a while to escape that shadow, especially if it's a large shadow. So like Santa Cruz was my 20s, early 20s. New York was my late 20s. I'm looping back around on West Cliff Drive. And so I'm just talking while I drive. I'm going to stop in a minute and check the map. But yeah, New York was my early 20s, or my late 20s. And then my early 30s has been New York. And I'm thinking about where to spend my late 30s. But Santa Cruz was my early 20s. And I forgot how much that became who I am. I went into a bar, so I went from that fancy bar to the Asti, which is a little bit grungier bar. And I just felt a lot of danger, there's just a lot of stuff going on that I don't think I recognized back then or something. And it's not that danger, like I feel uncomfortable, but like it was just rough. I didn't realize that I hang out with rough people and I hang out in rough places, and it was just I remember, so this isn't just me reflecting back on like the glory days. Like I remember there was a time a guy got tased in front of me trying to fight someone, and the bartender was tempting him, and the cops were behind him, and he took a swing at the bartender came out in front of the bouncer, was yelling at the guy was yelling at him, and then the bartender saw the cops behind him, so he kind of pushed the guy back into the cops, and the cops just tased the shit out of this guy like multiple times. And that's not a normal bar. That's and then right next door there's like a card room where my friend would go, and I remember my friend crashed his motorcycle on the way there because he was shit-faced at noon trying to go to the card room, and he crashed his motorcycle and got airlifted to San Jose. And he was a veteran. That's my buddy from the military, who, hopefully is on top of his alcoholism. But I hung out with different people, and then I was thinking, I guess I started to hang out with a crowd that goes to college and does the normal thing when I went to New York to rent them apartments. But before then, until I did this, and that's why it was so important to start the brokerage, it's like my interaction with the normal crowd is going to be on my terms, which is going to be, I guess, like making money off of them, but in real estate. And that's a specific crowd, because they're not the ones who come to Santa Cruz. The ones who go to New York, Manhattan are like, hold up, I have to check Lagoon. Hold up one second. The ones who go to New York and Manhattan are the ones who fucking make it. So like I've been hanging around the people who make it, but I think I'm in the right place. Hold up one second. Let me find out where I'm at. Oh, I see. I think I'm good, people. I'm just gonna keep driving. The thing is, you have to also get out downtown. So I had a double whiskey neat. So now I have a joint plus a double whiskey neat. Double whiskey neat shouldn't put me over the limit, especially if I nursed it over a half hour. But this is not where I got the DUI. But this is where I avoided a lot of DUIs. And this is a place of bad behavior. And there's a lot of cops downtown. And then I was realizing that we would fucking park on side streets off of downtown to avoid the cops. So I was drinking and driving for a while before I got the DUI. It's just silly. I mean, it's just interesting. But like, we had our routes that we would like park on this. Like, we weren't stupid. It's like we knew the cops were right down on that area, and we like parked right outside that downtown area. Just kind of, what type of fucking person knows the police routes of where they patrol for the DUIs? What type of person hangs out in a bar where fucking people get tased and beat up? And it's like, and I'm not saying I'm the toughest dude, but like, I sought the fucking working class, I guess, because it wasn't the worst of the worst. I stayed away from those guys, but I guess I sought the working middle, like the middle, like so you could go up and you could go down, but you could definitely go up from where I hung out. I remember how it's just interesting. Over 10 years ago, and then where I hang out, and then I hang out now. Just one drink. So I went from that fancy place down to that, like, really, like, we would call it like the meat locker or whatever you call it, where you go just to pick up a body, and like, it's just I mean, I think I have that cruising spirit right now. I saw that girl earlier, and I'm trying to find Rory because I think I need to talk to him, but I found my street. All right. But I feel that energy pulling me, and I'm kind of like putting it off. But it's still out there. If it was easier, if it had come across my path, I would have jumped on it for sure. But it hasn't, and I'm not looking too hard. So I'm letting it pass, kind of like your breath. But this is a trip. Coming around here is a trip. I did not think that I was going to feel what I feel from these streets. And it's interesting. I'm going to find this dude real quick. Alright. Oh, no, was that it? That might have been it. Fuck. You know, it's funny. Rory actually hooked up with a girl on this street. Not maybe on this street, but like, I remember there was a night that we had some crazy adventures, and I thought these people are too adult for us. Now Roy's an adult, and he has a wife, and he has all the things that come with a family. Alright. Now, I do not have geo-positioning service because I do not have Wi-Fi, so I have to find his address tool or by only looking. So I am only looking at addresses, and now, you know, someone who drives slow enough to look at addresses is suspicious nowadays. Back in the day, it used to be okay to like cruise by someone's place looking for an address. Like, all right, that's normal, you know, he's trying to figure out where he's at. But nowadays, it's like, you got GPS, motherfucker. There's no reason you should be creeping by my house slow late at night. Man, that joint put me out. I have to give props to my boy and his tangerine. What had happened was I did the podcast, and then I listened to the podcast because I thought maybe I have something here. And then I passed the fuck out because it was just a lot, I guess. I guess it was just, you know, it was a kind of a dangerous thing. Not dangerous, but like, it was demanding to drive over the 17 on that fucking shit. It was a strong joint. Yeah, so I fucking listened to it, and I woke up like a couple minutes after it passed out, and I was like, man. And so I started wandering because it was like 12:30, and I was like 2, all the bars are closed. I remember this feeling. That's what it is when you're younger. Like, the bar's gonna close, you're like, life's gonna end. And when I'm 30, I'm probably gonna commit suicide if I'm not happy, because that's how much of a selfish little prick I am. It's like, you're just like, time is so short. I mean, because it's true. Time is so short because you feel it. You're young. You're only young for those like 10, 20 years. So be young. Be young. My motherfucking brethren, be young. For the love of God, be young. You can only be young for so long. Once you stop being young, you stop being young, and whatever wisdom follows that is your own to interpret. But like, boom, here we are. Oh my gosh, yes, the fucking VW bus. All right, I'm gonna have to put you down. We're running incognito mode now. Incognito mode. See, I know that was Roy's fucking house because of his bus. He's gonna get so pissed I showed up this late. All right, quiet. Don't say anything. He doesn't know you're here. Okay, internet. Be quiet. All right. Oh, he's here. Oh my God, he's here. He's here, right? Hello. No, that's okay. You're here. All right. Yeah, that's all. That's all. Be quiet.